And welcome to week 6 here in the Huddle, the first full week of October. I'm Kevin Cooney from the Bucks County Courier-Times, along with Don Cosentino from the Intelligencer, as we look ahead to the third week of the Suburban One League schedule. Kind of a big week on tap, and we'll start with reviewing what happened last weekend in the Continental Conference. When you look at it, everybody, Dom, I think, had North Penn and Quakertown and everybody else, but kind of North Penn State here, everybody else is a little jumbled up now, aren't they?
Definitely a shake-up last week. I think number one was Hatboro Horshem's win at Quakertown, 26-21. Sort of took a little luster off that showdown between North Penn and Quakertown in 2 weeks, and really puts Hatboro Horsham into the mix for second place in the league, and coincidentally right there with Souderton, who's also the other team that's 2-0, and Souderton, of course, coming off a huge win, 27-7 at Penridge. It should be a heck of a game Saturday night to really determine, the jumbled mess that is the league now.
For Quakertown, obviously, you talked about the showdown everybody had for North Penn. There were some questions, I guess, about Quakertown, how they would react. They didn't play the toughest of non-league schedules coming in. To lose that Hatboro game, where do they go from here, and where do they stand, you think, at the end of the year? Can they get through this all right?
Well, it's not devastating. Certainly not the end of the season for Quakertown. I mean, they have one loss. Maybe they lose to North Penn again. I think everyone thinks that's probably going to happen. So that positions them with 2 losses, provided they don't lose to Souderton going forward. They don't play Penridge until Thanksgiving, which is after the playoffs.
Right.
So with a 16-team playoff, they're certainly still in the mix, and maybe even in the mix for a home game in the first round. So it's by no means devastating. It just sort of takes a little bit of the edge, I think, off of the perception that people have for Quakertown, but by no means a devastating defeat. And one of the handful of teams still undefeated in District 1 is the Pennsbury Falcons. And Kevin, you had the opportunity to see Pennsbury Saturday night against Council Rock North. How good is ground and pound?
Right now, ground and pound has been terrific. They're playing great defense. They're really limiting teams and what they can do. I mean, and offensively, Dante Devine has just turned into one of the premier backs within the National Conference because of the fact that he is able to just find good solid yards. He'll rip 8-9 off a clip behind that big offensive line. But one thing you want to see Pennsbury as you get down further into the season, you like to see him get a little more of a diverse attack as far as maybe throwing the football, but that's not the way they didn't earn ground and pound for nothing. I mean, this is the way they're going to win, and right now Galen Snyder is very comfortable. They have to cut back on the penalties. That's the one area Galen talked about the other night, being a big hurdle for them.
They won a district title in 2006 playing the ground and pound style. Can they do that again?
Sure, why not? I mean, at this point, there's a couple hurdles. Obviously, North Penn is the favorite, I think, but they have to be right in the hunt because of the fact that their defense is quick, and what they can do right now is they can really impose their will on teams offensively because of the way that their offensive line leans on people, and they wear you down through a game, and I think you saw that against CR North. North has some talent. North was unable to do anything of significance in that game, and I think that's because of Pennsbury's size. They are big enough and they are strong enough to just kind of run teams down and ground them out. One of the non-league games that took place last week was Archbishop Wood's victory over West Catholic, the battle of the defending Catholic League champions. Both teams were finalists in the States last year. Wood gets back into the league right now. How good a position are they as they move forward 3-2, but seeming to carry some momentum?
I think Wood right now is the overwhelming favorite in the 3A division of the Catholic League. I think they've proven it with what they've done with the wins the last 3 weeks against Ryan, Penridge, and West Catholic. What the West game really proved was that their defense, again, is probably one of the top defenses in the area. This is a team that overcame 3 interceptions and a fumble, 4 total turnovers. They trailed by 7 in the fourth quarter and came back and won that game. This was probably the toughest of their non-league games kind of for the second half of the season going forward. But I think, looking at North Catholic, Lansdale Catholic, Conwell Egan, the other teams in their division, Wood absolutely has to be the favorite in that league.
Yeah, I think Egan right now is the only team probably you could say competes with them, or is close to them. But at this point, are they strong enough to maybe make a run deep into November and back maybe even to the state level?
Yeah, I think Wood is strong enough to get out of the city. The 3A bracket kind of in the East looks pretty strong with Wilson, who's coming in to play Palisades this week. Sealands-Grove, way up, the team that would beat in the state semifinals last year. Looks very good. Pottsgrove certainly is tremendous.
Right.
We saw that what they did with against Penridge and Wissahickon early in the season. So I don't think it's by any means a slam dunk that Wood's getting back to Hershey, but they're going to be a factor, I think, going forward. Of course, Kevin, it's no slam dunk that Abington and Pennsbury are going to be undefeated. And Abington, when they meet in a couple of weeks, and Abington has Council Rock South this week, right?
Yeah, Council Rock South coming off a nice bounce back win over Ben Salem. I think the one thing when you look at South, the offense was directed by Bill Fleming, who I'm going to write about in the paper this week. He's a good running quarterback. He's able to throw, but he's able to move out and get some tough yardage. Greg Welch was good for them. The problem I see for them is their injuries. They've had a lot of injuries here early, especially in their secondary. How are they going to match up this week against Sam Kind at Abington? That's a problem that could rear its ugly head as you get further into the season. Hey gang, it's America's favorite quick hit segment. It's time for 4 downs, and Dom Wilson Palisades this week. What do you expect?
Going to be a tough one for Palisades, I think, more than anything. You know, they already had the 2 losses to Catasauqua and Northern Lehigh, and this is going to be their biggest challenge of the season. Wilson's probably one of the premier 3A teams in the state of Pennsylvania. They got a quarterback going to Maryland and Tyler Smith, a very dynamic offense. Going to be a tough one for the Pirates. They are at home, should be interesting. Conwell Egan, Kevin. They get Lansdale Catholic this week. The Crusaders are winless, very banged up. What do you see?
I see right now is Egan kind of preparing itself for the showdown with Wood in a couple weeks. Look, they're good offensively. They play well on defense. At this point, Anthony Sinclair is probably the best quarterback in that division, because he's played every game. I want to see, though, how Egan handles Wood down the road. That'll tell you how their progress is going to be measured by how they do against Wood.
Okay.
Marquis came in the Continental this week. Capper on Saturn. What are you looking for?
Going to be an interesting contrast there of Hatboro's defense and sort of the new-look Souderton offense. They got Andrew Coyle and Derek Brown back. They had a tremendous game offensively against Penridge. And then Hatboro, of course, defensively has just shut everyone down, all 5 of their opponents. So it should be a terrific matchup come Saturday night. And I think everyone watching this wants to know how you spent the hour rain delay at Pennsbury the other night.
The lightning delay, I pretty much just sat there, stared at my computer, looked at the clock, and went, oh no, here comes deadline. That'll do it for the Week 6 edition of In the Huddle. I'm Kevin Cooney for Dom Cosentino. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check us out at www.bucksmonsportsnow.com every Friday night for game stories and results of every game in the area. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week in the Huddle.